I talk a lot on this channel about how to make money through Turo and car sharing. I talk about how to buy cars, how to streamline your operations, and of course, how to make more money. But one thing I don't talk about a lot is what you need to start doing, or at least start thinking about, once you have money coming in from your car sharing business or from any side hustle that you may be doing. Things like how to limit your tax liabilities, how to increase your income, and of course, how to increase your net worth as well. Well, in this video, I'm going to be going over just that, and I'm going to be breaking down some of the key things that I do with my own income after I've made it through my side hustles like Turo. So let's get started. So first off, I want to preface this by saying I am not a financial advisor or a financial and investment expert. I really rely heavily on the experts in my own life, and I encourage you to do the same. And so in this video, I'm not going to be talking about specifically what you should be doing. Instead, I'm going to be really highlighting what I do with my own funds and my own account management. That way I can make sure that I'm going in the right direction each and every month. Ultimately, your financial situation is going to be incredibly specific to you, and before you do anything, you need to make sure to analyze your own finances and your future goals to make sure that you're on the right path. And with all of that in mind, the very first thing that I started doing once I started making decent money through car sharing, and really once I started cash flowing, was utilizing credit cards to my advantage. HP and I have a bunch of different credit cards, and if you are someone who's starting a car sharing fleet and you're cash flowing, I think it could be a great idea to get a rewards card and put 100% of your expenses on these cards. Be sure to have one specifically for your business and for your personal life, and make sure to never ever commingle these cards and these funds. That's incredibly important. This is such a great hack for not only a car sharing fleet, but really for any day-to-day spending. And I think it is especially applicable to a car sharing fleet because car sharing is a pretty cash heavy business. There's a lot of money going out and coming in each and every month, so being able to utilize those funds to your advantage can be a huge benefit. For example, over the last few years alone, HP and I went to Hawaii, London, Scotland, and we're going to Japan next year, all paid for exclusively by credit card points. So if you are somebody who is a credit card person, you feel confident that you can use credit cards responsibly, and you have enough money to pay your credit cards each and every month, I would definitely encourage you to look at using credit cards for 100% of your expenses because the benefits can be massive. Next is the topic of organizing your finances, and this is something that truly can never be done too soon. Really, the moment that you start making money or the moment that you begin thinking about making money, you should figure out a way that you're going to be keeping track of your month-by-month expenses and transactions. Now, I use QuickBooks for this. This is a paid service, and it can be pretty expensive depending on what level of QuickBooks that you sign up for, but there are a number of great options. Before I used QuickBooks, I used Mint.com, which is a free service really designed for individuals, but it can be great for small businesses and side hustles as well. You can also use Rocket Money, or you can even use an old-fashioned spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter what method you use as long as you're consistent with whatever method you choose. But I will say that if you are somebody who's interested in hiring either an accountant or a bookkeeper at some point in the future, it's probably a good idea to get used to QuickBooks sooner than later because there is a high likelihood that they use that software for their own services. Organizing your finances is incredibly important for tax reasons in order to get an accurate gauge on how much money you're making or losing each and every month, and it's just a really great practice to get into as a business owner. But organizing your finances doesn't just come down to spreadsheets and transaction trackers. It also comes down to the different bank accounts and investment accounts that you have in order to grow your income and store your money. And this is whenever we get into the nitty-gritty of 401ks, Roth IRAs, high-yield savings accounts, and checking accounts. HP and I have a checking account for not only our businesses, but also our personal finances as well. You can open a personal checking account with a nationwide bank like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or you could even go with a small regional bank or a credit union as well. It doesn't really matter which one you use. The point is you need to find one that you like to work with and one that's easily accessible to you. The point of a checking account is to store your money that you need on a day-by-day and week-by-week basis, basically any funds that you're going to need in the next 30 days. But you don't want to store much more than that because of the fact that checking accounts have a stupidly low interest rate, and you are very literally losing your money by storing it there. Instead, the money that you don't want to keep in your checking account for your day-by-day expenses, put that money into a high-yield savings account. I have multiple different high-yield savings accounts that are used for different purposes. For example, we have a few business high-yield savings accounts through Live Oak Bank, which pays about a 4% APY on our money. We use this to store cash that we're going to be using for future projects, future investments, or just simply money that we don't need in the next 30 days. We also have accounts set up to set aside money for taxes as well. In addition to our business high-yield savings accounts, we also have personal ones as well through American Express. They also pay about a 4% APY, but nowadays you can find something a bit higher through Wealthfront or SoFi. As I'm recording this video, Wealthfront is about a 4.8% APY, which is a good amount higher than the one that I'm with. We use our personal high-yield savings account to save for things like our property tax bill as well as our emergency fund, which comes out to about 6 months worth of expenses. Basically, any money that we're going to need to access at some point within the next couple of years is money that probably should go into a high-yield savings account rather than into an investment account. Which brings us to our next batch of accounts that we have, which are these long-term investment accounts, where we're storing our money if we don't need to access it within the next 3 years. HP and I have a joint long-term investment account. We have 401ks and we have Roth IRAs, which we max out each and every month. And between all of these different accounts, money gets dispersed into them automatically on a schedule each and every month. That way we don't have to worry about doing it manually, which is a huge lifesaver. And with all of these different accounts, the money gets deposited automatically on a monthly schedule. That way we don't even have to think about it, which is great. Now, you don't necessarily have to have all of these different types of accounts because I definitely understand that if somebody isn't particularly interested about personal finance, having a bunch of different accounts can be overwhelming. But I do firmly believe that the pillars to growing your wealth really come down to 3 simple things. Number 1, having a high-yield savings account. Don't store your money in a low-interest checking account. Number 2 is have a Roth IRA. This is a foundational piece to growing your wealth long-term, and it can be a game changer to your retirement. And number 3, actually invest the funds that you contribute to your Roth. This is actually a very common misconception, particularly common across young women, that whenever you deposit your money into your Roth IRA, it's good to go, it's automatically invested, and you're good for retirement. But that actually isn't the case, and you do need to invest those funds into index funds, stocks, or mutual funds. So make sure that if you are somebody who is contributing to a Roth IRA each and every month, that you're actually going into that account and investing that money as well. One of my biggest mistakes of my early 20s was not starting a Roth IRA earlier and not maxing it out as soon as I was able to. Compound growth and the power of this cannot be overstated. For example, if you start investing into a Roth IRA at 30 and you invest $300 every single month until you're 65, and that account has an average rate of return of 10% per year, which is a fair expectation given historical averages, by the end of the 35-year period of time, you would have contributed $126,000 to that account. But that account would have a value of $1,019,000, and this is due to the compound growth on your contributions. But if you would have started doing this exact same thing at 20, so 10 years longer, by the time you're 65, you would have contributed $162,000, so only $36,000 more, but your retirement fund would now be worth $2.7 million. A $1.7 million difference off of only $36,000 more in contributions simply because of the fact that this investment had 10 extra years to compound. And this is so incredibly powerful, and $300 isn't even the max that you can contribute. You can contribute $6,500 per year. And once you max out your Roth IRA, you still have other types of investment accounts like 401k or even just standard long-term investment accounts. Or if you're somebody who makes too much money to qualify for a Roth IRA, there's even something called a backdoor Roth IRA that you could take advantage of as well. Long-term investing in Roth IRAs are so incredibly powerful to your financial future. I have at this point forced my siblings to get Roth IRAs. And while you do have to have earned income in order to qualify for a Roth IRA, you don't in order to have a long-term investment account. And I've already opened investment accounts for my 2.5 and 4-week-old niece, both of which will retire multimillionaires because of the small amount of money that I deposit into their account that will now be able to compound over the next 63 and 65 years. The power of long-term compound growth is so powerful and so mind-blowing to me. It's something that I just want to scream from the mountaintops because I want everybody to understand and take advantage of the system that's in place. The power of long-term investing in compound growth is so incredibly important, and I really wish that I would have learned this earlier on in my career, and the fact that they don't teach you this in high school is almost criminal. But I do think that if you are somebody who is making enough money to where you can put aside a few $100s per month, I highly encourage you to do it and get to the point where you can max out that Roth IRA each and every year. And so as of right now, we've talked about utilizing credit cards, making sure that you have a financial tracking system in place, and also making sure that you're utilizing all of the right types of accounts and investments. But of course, you can't do any of this sustainably if you're not paying yourself. And that's another part of the equation that you need to be thinking about. I get asked all the time, when is it too early to pay yourself? How much should you pay yourself? How does it work in order to pay yourself? And the truth is, I think that this varies quite a bit depending on how much money you need to live off of, what your financial and family-like situation is, and of course, where you're located. Whenever I started Turo, I was in my early 20s. I don't have any kids. I wasn't married at the time, and all I had was a house and 2 dogs. This financial situation is going to be drastically different from somebody that has multiple kids or a house or multiple cars and many different financial obligations. And so it's really important that in this scenario, you look at your own personal situation and figure out what's best for you. But in general, there are a few different routes that you can go down whenever it comes to paying yourself through your business. You can either do an owner draw, which is basically just taking money out of your business account and depositing it into your personal account, or alternatively, you can also give yourself a salary. There are pros and cons to each one of these, and I encourage you to reach out to an accountant to figure out which one is best for you. But I would say in general, I am a big fan of trying to limit how much you pay yourself out of your business, not only for tax reasons, but also so that you can continue to invest into your business long term. I think in general, people tend to quit their day jobs too soon, and so I would encourage anyone who's wanting to scale and grow a car sharing fleet to keep your day job as long as possible. In fact, some of the largest fleet owners that I know are ones that kept their day jobs for an incredibly long time. And then once you get to the point where your fleet is making enough money, you can pay yourself quite comfortably from that. For HP and I specifically, we pay ourselves from our different ventures. And the amount that we pay ourselves is based off of not only how much money we need to live comfortably, but also how much each venture is making. But again, you will need to look into your own finances and figure out what makes sense for you. And last but certainly not least is the topic of business expenses and deductions. And this is something that absolutely should be taken into account within your first year of operations, if not sooner, like within the first few days. Business expenses and deductions can be an incredibly powerful tool in order to lower your taxable income. And so you'll want to make sure that you're taking all of these different expenses into account. For example, your laptop or computer, do you use this for business? Well, this is now a business expense. Things like your phone, your cell phone bill, do you use Apple iCloud or Google Drive? These are all things that are being used for your business, and thus they should be paid for by your business, and they should be deducted from your taxes. Once you get to a certain point, you can even take advantage of different types of tax law as well. For example, vehicle deductions or your home office expenses as well. Again, this is something that you will want to consult with an attorney on, but it is something that is incredibly important, and the importance of it really can't be overstated. If your business is cash flowing, especially if you're making a profit, you should be paying attention to this because it's going to be a game changer come tax season. Truthfully though, this video pretty much covers the key points of how I keep track of my finances and how I make sure that I'm staying on track with the goals that I have long term. The only additional thing that I would add is to make sure to keep an eye on lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. It's the idea that as you make more money, you start spending more money, and your at one point high salary is now barely covering your bills. This is something that I am hyper aware of, and I really keep track of my personal spending to make sure that I'm not spending more money than needed on frivolous expenses. Of course, there are probably other things that we could get into the weeds on. Things like buying additional investments, real estate for example, or even making strategic purchases to lower your taxable income. But these things that I've outlined in this video are definitely some of the first things that I would address and look at if I'm a new car sharing host or any business owner that's making money. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.